Hello, I'm Peter Choate. I'm an assistant professor of social work at Mount Royal University in Calgary, Canada. We're located in the western half of Canada, and I'm delighted to participate in this project with the British Association of Social Workers. I had the opportunity to spend time via Skype with Helen, who's a social work student in the United Kingdom. This was a great opportunity for me to learn about what's taking place in social work education in the United Kingdom and what's similar and what's different from the social work education between our two countries. One of the things that was really exciting is learning there's really a lot that's very similar. Some of our terminology may be a bit different. For example, we talk about clients, and apparently in the United Kingdom you talk about service users. But conceptually, one of the things that was really exciting to learn is how similar the issues are that we're working with and the methodologies that we use. So we're, for example, talking about micro, macro, and meso practice. We're talking about person and environment. We look at genograms. We look at how we assess. We look at big social work theories and try to find ways to apply them and figure out how they work in our relationships with clients. In my work, I specifically focus on teaching first-year students social work methodologies, and also I work in the area of child and adolescent mental health. My research is in the area of child protection errors, and so it was interesting to talk to Helen about the impact that serious case reviews have in the United Kingdom, and that at times that creates something of a chill for people thinking about whether or not they want to go into child protection work. I hope that chill doesn't stop people from going in. I know certainly when we see big cases here that cause lots of media coverage and lots of resistance to the risks that are inherent in working in child protection, that there are people who say, gosh, I don't think I want to do that kind of work. And yet I think child protection is some of the most important work that we do in social work. So it was interesting to hear Helen's perspective. So I think for me, some of the big themes in my conversation were that while we have similar methodologies, we're also facing some different issues. So, for example, here in Canada, we've had two very significant things take place in the last few months in respect of the Aboriginal peoples of Canada. The first is the publication of the report of the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, which identified long-term intergenerational systemic discrimination and oppression of the Aboriginal peoples of this country. That was followed by a human rights decision which identified that Canada has systemically discriminated against First Nations children on reserves in terms of underfunding and underservicing child welfare services for that population. Helen was able to talk about how those are not issues for them in the United Kingdom. They're somewhat unique to Canada, although not really, because they're facing similar conversations in the social work professions of the United States and Australia and other places with indigenous populations. On the other hand, we found common ground talking about some of the integration issues that take place when refugees come into our countries, and we find ways as social workers to help them integrate and become successful in the transition to their new living environment. We also talked about how trauma-informed practice is important in both of our countries, and that we're exploring those things in our social work practices. So I think that we found that social work has a lot of common ground, but at the same time we're having to deal with issues that are unique to our specific geography and our specific cultural reality. But we're using methodologies that are very similar, and our social work education and our social work practice draw upon some of the same roots in which we seek to assist clients to have a better outcome in their life, and also to advocate for clients at both the micro and macro levels. We also spoke about how there are economic pressures on our professions, as governments and economies are going through difficult times, and there are ways in which governments attempt to rationalize services in order to contain costs. We spoke about how that creates challenges not only for those of us who deliver services, but also for our clients. So we saw the connection in both of our countries between the politics that surround the delivery of services and how they impact what we are able to do in some cases. All in all, this was a really wonderful opportunity to have an exchange. I want to thank the BASW for giving me this opportunity to speak with Helen and to learn more about what's going on in the United Kingdom. I hope that this is the beginning of a series of conversations. I've had the distinct pleasure of being able to talk with some academics in the United Kingdom about some common issues in the field of child protection. I'm deeply impressed by the commitment and the depth of the work that's taking place there, and I hope that we can learn from that work. Certainly, I have brought that work into my academic research as well as my teaching. And I hope that we in Canada have things to offer that will also be of assistance in cross-cultural understandings and cross-nation practice of social work. So again, thank you for this opportunity.